Some of you may try to claim that I am late to this, since Dishonored is a game that came out in 2012, almost 12 years ago to the date from this video releasing. However, the Spaniard is never late, everyone else is simply early. I'm making this video for a very specific type of person, one that perhaps very few of you will actually identify with, yet I still felt compelled to make this video for that one lone wanderer who might. That person was me 1 month ago. As an Assassin's Creed fan, you've probably been looking for a franchise that scratches that same itch, that gives you that parkour and stealth fantasy that you got from older Assassin's Creed games. That was me at least 1 month ago, hoping to find a new world to get obsessed with that made me feel at least something similar to what I felt with Assassin's Creed. That's how I felt, and no doubt if you exist within the internet realm of the Assassin's Creed community, the name Dishonored has come up. I don't know how many times I've made a video or spoken to someone who always recommends Dishonored whenever I'm talking about Assassin's Creed and how I look for similar experiences. It's a 2012 immersive sim that you probably didn't want to play because you don't like first-person games. I don't like first-person games. I like to see my cool character move around, I like to see the pretty animations and have a wider view of the game world. I've always hated when developers or people try to claim that first-person is more immersive because you can see it from a closer perspective. When game devs say that they made this game in first-person to really make you feel like you're part of the world, I just think, no, you probably didn't. You did it because you wanted to save money on animations, because you didn't want to work on other things, or maybe in some cases, first person is the right creative choice for a game. I personally think that third person games for me are much more immersive, especially when they're narrative driven or they're open world. That's why I never bothered to play Dishonored, because I judged it by its cover and I saw that it was first person and realized that for the most part I really don't like playing those games. And if you're watching this and you're like me 1 month ago, that's probably why you haven't played Dishonored either. What could a first person game with magic, power, and limited parkour have to offer someone who has seen the greatness of what Assassin's Creed 1 through Revelations was? Or even AC Unity? What kind of fantasy could you get from that game that could even remotely come close to the golden age of AC? You probably didn't play Dishonored for the same reason that I didn't, because you thought it couldn't be that good. Well, you're wrong. I was wrong. Dishonored fucking slaps. To give you a little bit of backstory, since now I am a seasoned Dishonored expert after having completed the game a grand total of 1 times, Dishonored is an immersive first-person action game that casts you as a supernatural assassin driven by revenge. It's set in the world of Dunwall, an industrial whaling city where strange steampunk technology and otherworldly forces coexist in the shadows. You are the once trusted bodyguard of the beloved Empress. Framed for her murder, you become an infamous assassin, known only for the disturbing mask that has become your calling card. In a time of uncertainty, when the city is besieged by plague and ruled by a corrupt government armed with industrial technologies, dark forces conspire to bestow upon you abilities beyond those of any common man. If you want to see how these two games have so much in common, like Assassin's Creed 1 and Dishonored, just look at the CGI trailers for AC1 and Dishonored. They are so eerily similar in terms of how they communicate the gameplay features to the player, how they communicate the fantasy that you're supposed to experience through these two games. It's clear that the passion and the design philosophy for these two teams were very, very similar. And that's why I think that at first glance, these two games don't have that much in common, but when you inspect it closer, the game explores some ideas that here on the channel we've wished Assassin's Creed explored more, like the psychological effects of senseless violence on yourself and others, the kind of world that could reasonably hold assassins and traitors and thieves and plague without seeming inconsistent with how the rest of the world functions. It touches on the consequence of killing versus not killing your target, and gives you options to do both. The lore behind Dishonored is rich and interesting, and like with any good IP, it rewards you at each stage of investment. This is something that I feel very passionate about and that I think is the secret sauce to converting someone into a fan of your IP. It rewards you regardless of how invested and how much attention you pay to the game. If you just want a fun stealth game / immersive sim to play, Dishonored's got you covered. If you want to at least pay attention to the story and the cutscenes, understanding who you're hunting and why, Dishonored's got you covered. If you want to care enough to not just do that but stop and study the world, read its notes, pay attention to the story the environment is painting, you'll find something satisfying there. Just walking around the world, you learn so much more that you couldn't learn through the dialogue or the cutscenes, and you feel rewarded for taking that extra time to explore the world. You can even read lore outside of the world that will make subsequent playthroughs much more fun. The IP of Dishonored has done a lot of legwork to make you feel like your investment is not in vain, something that I wish I could say about AC at this stage in the game. But what Dishonored does that has left me so confused because of how counterintuitive it is that it so closely fulfills that feeling I get when I play Assassin's Creed, despite being so stylistically and mechanically different. And I think it's because of the end fantasy that each of these franchises give you that I think are so similar, even though the approach is different. Both games try to make you feel overpowered in the shadows, hidden from sight. and a capable yet fragile fighter when detected. They allow you to utilize the verticality of a city to evade guards and enter your target's locations undetected. They provide tools, both in close combat and long range, to help you distract, kill, or evade guards, and both perpetuate the idea that you, to the guards in the game, are fucking terrifying. These two games really perpetuate the idea of a terrifying assassin, someone who is so unstoppable because no guard would ever have the chance to stop you because they didn't even know you were there. Where Dishonored, in my opinion, shines even brighter than AC when it comes to this fantasy is in its mission design. I still prefer AC parkour and Assassin's Creed stealth even in a lot of the games, but the way that the levels are designed in Dishonored are truly something else. It's a masterclass in level design that I don't know why Assassin's Creed didn't take inspiration from. I want you to imagine Assassin's Creed Unity missions taken to the nth degree. You have a target somewhere in this large location, and your goal is to find him however you can and kill him. The amount of entry points, approaches, kill opportunities, side missions, narrative threads, and different little additions to the level art are just mind-boggling, and you'll find yourself truly feeling like an assassin, constantly discovering and finding new opportunities and exploiting them, all of which the developers have accounted for. When you're playing this game, you truly feel like you are the one accomplishing these things. Your hand isn't being held, you're not being told where to go or how to do things. You're constantly playing and feeling like you've just made a discovery that no other player has. And even though in the back of your mind your rational brain is saying no, like the level designers know what you're doing and they accounted for this move that you would make, this decision, they're leading you here subconsciously, you still feel like you're making it, and you feel like it is your accomplishment to reach this place and reach the target undetected, and the route that you took to find that target. You genuinely feel excited and tense at every moment. Between trying to remain in stealth, trying to create good opportunities, and exploring this beautifully designed level through the parkour that you use, it's just very well designed. And another thing that I love is how much the gameplay moments you experience are not handheld, but rather are rewarded for you caring and listening. I'll give you an example that really stuck with me. It's very early on in the game, and I'm sure that 100 different players had 100 different experiences, but for me, it was just a very memorable moment because I realized that Dishonored is just not a regular game. It's something different, something that makes me feel very similar to what I feel with the old Assassin's Creeds, which is something that I've so desperately needed. In the first assassination mission, I overheard at some point someone mentioned that my target is having a meeting with a general or a politician. That person tells me that the target intends to poison his guest. Nothing else is said, but from that information alone, I infer that the game might let me switch the drinks or at least strike down my target in this moment of victory. I might get to witness this poisoning and influence it in my own way. So as I approach the interior where the target is hiding, after finding my own path, I stumble across a meeting room without knowing that it was the meeting room, and I see 2 full glasses of whiskey. I'm prompted to switch the glasses when I get closer because I already knew that this was the meeting room that was talked about earlier on by that NPC. And I have an option. I can switch the glasses, I can leave them as they are, or I can split the liquid in half so that I kill both men. Meanwhile, in another room, I hear voices, muted but close. At no point does the game give me an objective to hide, or does it tell me that these are the men that I'm about to kill. There are no shiny objectives or a bunch of texts or directions. I am simply trusted to know that these men will walk into the meeting room, that one of these men is my target, and that any second now I need to hide so I'm not discovered. So I do so. I hide under a table and I wait. Wait for them to cheers, wait for them to drink, and I wait for them to die. Right after, I walk out without a single hitch in my mission, not being detected by anyone. Beyond happy that I have found a game that has fast movement, good stealth, and world-class mission design. This is a very small example, and there were probably millions of people who will share their greatest memory of this game. But honestly, if you can get over that 1-inch wall of the first-person games and give this game a good try, from one Assassin's Creed fan to another, you will find something to love. I promise. For people who care about lore and immersion, this game is just simply phenomenal, and I really do care about lore. I also made a video discussing lore-accurate ways to play Assassin's Creed Origins, another game that might not seem to provide a good assassin experience at first sight. If you want to watch that and learn how to enjoy it for what it is, you can watch this video here.